Hey, what's going on, YouTubers? What's poppin'? East Finest, hosted by Mike. This video is a warning. This video is not for everybody. I think I'm gonna start doing different channels. Let me know what you guys out there think. Maybe it'll probably make more sense. I did try it before in the past, and it just never worked because excuse me. I tried doing a couple different channels. One with just like Hot Wheels to do it with Isaiah, then one for statues, one for regular flea market finds, whether it was clothes, toys, video games, etc., and then just like politics and stuff like that. And it just didn't work. This video is about my this video is just basically my opinion on what I think about this whole Kyle what's his name? Kyle Rittenhouse. Is it Ritten? Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse. All right, now this video is not gonna be for everybody. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. This is why they say you should never talk politics, religion, and certain things and stuff, because everybody's gonna have their own interpretations. And the thing up here on YouTube that's so funny about people like me is considered aggressive, arrogant, angry, militant, whatever, because people are so used to dealing with the people talking about them behind their back and smile to your face and all that other jibber jabber. Me, that's not my cup of tea. My thing is I'm a straight individual. I'm straightforward. I tell it for what it is, and that's that. And I don't sugarcoat. I don't hide anything. I don't believe in discretion. I'm not a discreet person by any means. I speak my mind, and it's not about hurting you. It's just about being straightforward. And I am an alpha male, so therefore I say what's on my mind, and I keep it. And that's just how I am. But the thing is, people nowadays feel like if you have your own opinion and or if you're opinionated, they have to be your enemy because they have to jump on everybody else's bandwagon, which is sad and pathetic, considering that, you know, people in this world, if they do more by leading by example than following by idiocy, as I like to say, then a lot of this stuff would have never happened. Now, obviously, this thing that went on in Milwaukee, I don't know if a lot of people know about the case. I didn't follow the case too much, but the case has gotten so much media nonsense, and I believe in that whole propaganda thing. I believe that the media, the media is paid, and they're basically taught to lie to you. You know, that's why it's called television. You know, it's basically telling you what you want to know and have you visualizing on TV. I don't like the news. I don't listen to the news. I don't even read the newspapers. I don't need to know what's going on in the world. Sometimes I just hear certain things. I may glance over here and there, and I automatically put I'm very intellectual. I may not sound it because of the way I speak with an accent, and I happen to be a black dude from the ghetto, from the hood, you know what I mean, who grew up and did the right things in life. But, you know, I do talk with an Ebonic, almost like, or ghetto-ish accent, and my pronunciation is not like my 21-year-old or Isaiah's or Michelle's. My pronunciation and things aren't up to par like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, I raised two older kids. None of them have kids. None of them been arrested. You know, they both have degrees, and they both work. You know, and they both live at home because Michelle moved back in. But, you know, they both work. They both do their thing. So from a guy who grew up in the hood, who happens to be a guy who grew up around projects, roaches, and rats, I actually did pretty good. You know, I happen to be a married man, almost about 26 years now. So, and it's funny because I have a lot of great friendships for like over 20. Every friend I can call a friend, I've had friendships for well over 20-something years, 20 plus. And these are people like who are professionals. These are guys that are white. Couple of Asians, Hispanics, and of course blacks. And these are guys and girls out there who are professionals. A lot of them have different job fields, and you know, I just speak the truth. I speak what's on my mind, and I'm emotional about it at that specific time, so I get more gritty in what I'm talking about at a specific time. Oh, excuse me. And now speaking about this Kyle Rittenhouse thing, A lot of people say they hate police. A lot of people say that, you know, they wish the police would be disbanded, et cetera, et cetera. You know, this state of Milwaukee just basically told the police, yo, listen, and, you know, this is what happened. You know, it's different for a lot of us because we didn't, and pray that you never have to experience a state where people are just running the streets, even though there's a curfew that wasn't even really being enforced. They were, you know, they were throwing out tear gas and stuff like that. I don't even know how many arrests they made for arson or this, that, and third. But it just goes to show just how fast anarchy is created through social media and so much negative forces. And I think sometimes the government let things play out like that so they can see how far they can push the envelope in every aspect, in every catch-22 you can think of. Like with those riots, when they actually had a whole bunch of these police officers that people showed later on in uniform, pictures of them on social media and in uniform, that were upciting riots because they got caught in pictures and video from other individuals. And it just got swept under the rug, and it was like a big question mark because all this stuff started happening around the same time of the presidential candidacy, like when they were actually running, you know, when Biden and Trump was going at it. So a lot of this stuff got swept on the table, like even back in the day when George Bush Jr. stole himself in office, who is ironic considering that he won in the state that his brother was the governor in, which is weird considering the fact that when JFK Jr.'s plane, his plane went down off the outskirts of Martha's Vineyard. Why was George W. Bush, a man from Texas, why was he, you know, within 50 to almost 100 miles off the coast of where this guy's plane happened to, you know, hit the water? That's ironically weird. Which all of a sudden he now runs. This is a playboy guy that used to snort coke, drink, and do all types of idiotic stuff. So the fact that his father had almost a grotesque relationship until he ran and he got backed by his father and everybody else, and he actually, you know, George Bush Sr. wanted Jeb to get in the office, but it didn't work out that way, and you know Bush Jr. got in, and look what happened when he was in. That all that did was really initiate this whole new world order, and since then things get worse and worse in this country. It's kind of like the Attica riots with people in prison. You know, people, you know, it was inhumane. They got tired of the abuse that they were dealing with, even though a lot of people did deserve to go to prison. But you don't, even though you deserve to go to prison for whatever crimes, you're paying your debts to society, and you're found guilty by individuals, or you took pleas for crimes you committed. So you don't have to go to jail and be even worse off, considering that you're already worse off. You understand? So they fought, and you know the system decided that they couldn't afford that happen again, so they started giving more stuff. They gave a little bit more leeway to the prison system, to the penal system, and little by little they're taking a lot of stuff from the convicts again. Like little by little they're taking more and more stuff away, and I feel that's the same thing that's going on in this country. You know, all of a sudden out of the blue they can't find who killed Ray, but you mean to tell me you can turn around and at an airport you just miraculously find a Middle Eastern person with gel in their shoes, and when the TSA agents and federal agents, you know, catch this individual that didn't blow himself up with other individuals, they just happen to apprehend this individual without incident and realize that they had gel, like explosive gel material in their shoe, like, you know, in his tennis shoes or whatever. And now all of a sudden they decided later on to put not only to put machines that can see your whole body, which is basically against your rights as a human, but basically they force, you know, like they use all types of terroristic force to put fear in everybody's heart, to have you pay for this false security that they created. And it's just tasteless and crazy. And I think that's what the media is doing with this. They're sitting here calling the kid all types of names. Then they're sitting here calling people saying he's a racist, he's this and that. He's a 17-year-old kid. You know, I'm the first one to talk about injustices. Everybody think I'm racist. I'm racist against anybody that's racist against me. And if you happen to be a stupid ass white person who did some dumb shit, I'm gonna call you on that. If you happen to be a dumb ignorant nigga who did some dumb shit, I'm gonna call you on it. If you happen to be a stupid motherfucking dumbass spick who did dumb shit, I'm gonna call you on it. And it goes on and on. You understand what I'm saying? And I can say that word because I am, you know, I hate saying the word that I'm half Dominican, but at the end of the day, Dominicans ain't nothing. All Dominicans ain't nothing but fucking Spanish-speaking Haitians. At the end of the fucking day. But I'm just making some valid points. The system wants to break everybody up in groups. The poor, the rich, the middle class, the super rich that don't gotta worry about shit. They have police thinking they're better than others. Then they have others thinking police is worse, you know, is terrible. And it's just disgusting. Within their own department alone, it's being teared down from the inside out. Because it starts inside to out. You know, it's all about divide and conquer. Not only in those organizations, which are first responders, but also in the communities and stuff like this as well. You know, they try to break everything up and break everything down so everybody can go after each other and everybody think they're the right. They're entitled, they have the right, and they're special to this and that. And, oh, well, because of the color of my skin, the car I drive, how much money I got in my account, the clothes I wear, the house I have, the neighborhood I live in. You know, and it is, people say, oh, there's no significance. There is significance, because even if you look at what the insurance companies do, right now we have issues with our home. And I said this to them. I said, you know what, if we happen to have the last name Goldberg or Silverman or Ishman or some shit like that, which is ironic, I use that word Ishman, because a lot of my family members by marriage are Ishmans, and they're black. You know what I mean? So they have that last name. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize, but, you know, Rodriguez and Lopez are not Spanish names. Those are Hebrewic, a.k.a. Jewish names. Those last names like Lopez, Perez, those are Jewish names. Y'all don't know that because it was adapted, and a lot of Hispanics have that name now. But, hey, I taught you guys something. Like I said, I'm a very intellectual person. I can sit here and break down so much stuff to people. But then I'll seem like an arrogant dude. People just think because I'm militant. I don't even consider myself militant. I'm just a self-aware person that sees shit for what it is. It's all common sense, and I see it for what it is. So it's just disgusting how, you know, all this stuff just placates against everything else. It's easy when you have everybody fighting one another. You know, when you have, you know what I'm saying? And then when people try to band together, they find other ways to instigate riots and instigate hate because the system needs to keep everybody in check by having everybody check on everybody else. You ever heard the expression, like, you know, you go to the subway and everywhere you go in the public, they have these things that say, if you see something, say something. But at the end of the day, when police do and violate people, they don't tell the police department. You don't go to precincts or municipal buildings or courthouses and you see it says, you know, report corruption, report brutality. You don't see that kind of stuff, though, because it's a catch-22. It's a contradiction. The whole system is a contradictive, hypocritical, bureaucratical piece of bullshit. You know, then they wonder why, you know, you have domestic terrorists like DC snipers, Chris Donner, Michael Xavier Johnson, Timothy McVeigh. You know, just to name a few, you know, like for instance, Timothy McVeigh, he's a guy who, it was a two-man crew, but he was the main man who implemented the whole attack on oh my God, in Oklahoma City during a bombing in that federal building that killed a lot of FBI agents. Unfortunately, children lost their lives too. But he was actually a military man. He was an army guy, and he didn't like the fact that the feds pledged war in Waco, Texas. I mean, you know, it's crazy how that happened, and I think somewhere in the teens to over 20-something children were killed in that, let's face it, the feds, the FBI boys, or the alphabet guys are disgusting. When it comes to them, they don't give a flying fuck about you or your kinfolk. They could have easily, you know, took care of this another way. They just said, you know what, we're the government, you know, we have power. Everybody keep forgetting that you give government power. Government don't have power. You give them power. But because people are just too afraid and lazy and they just sit back and stay sheep, the government just takes what the fuck they want and give you what they decide you deserve to have instead of everybody fighting for it. But anyway, moving back to this. So during this thing, you know, he's felt a certain way, being like a conspiracy theorist and whatnot. And he decided to pledge war on them because they pledged war. And, you know, then they wonder why people can never understand why there's, like people can't even apprehend and understand why there's foreign terrorists, let alone domestic terrorism. This country breeds and raises people to become domestic terrorists because of the way it is. And you get a lot of people like me who they don't have the strong intellectual mind to stay sane, so to speak. A lot of people, with this information, they see how sick and sadistic the country is and whatever, and they just go postal, they go crazy. Me, I know how to filter it, and I teach, they say each one teach one, right? So I'm intellectually and I'm strong-minded, strong-spirited, to be a conspiracy theorist, to see shit for what it is, but at the same time, not want to go out there and kill people and stuff like that. That's just insane. That would be a contradiction within itself. But I'm just, just to name a few, that's how that whole thing happened. From the Waco, Texas cult thing to where feds went in, burned up, and little innocent children got killed because they wanted to rush it, and they just decided to strong arm and show their power, and they wound up getting, and they wound up getting knifed in the back, and then, then they can't understand why people, it's just like somebody who gets abused. I mean, somebody who's being the abuser. Now, if the brother and the cousins come around and whoop this nigga's ass and put him in the hospital, now he want to be a bitch and press charges, or his family can't understand why he got beat up or almost got killed. But it was alright for him to be putting his hand all over put his hands all over Nikki's body and beat her up all the time. That's just the rational thinking of how the government thinks. It's okay when I'm doing it, but when you retaliate back or try to defend yourself, it's insane. You shouldn't do that. Now, going to the whole Chris Donor thing, same thing. This is a brother who happened to be he was a Marine. I'm gonna say ex-Marine because he was disorderly discharged. That's not really the term. He was basically dishonorably discharged, and then he went into the L.A., one of the most racist states, let alone racist police departments in the U.S. He went into that, and he seen just how unfair and sadistic it was ran. And there was an issue with a Caucasian female cop who did something, and he spoke out about it, and they didn't want to hear it, so they basically fired his ass. So he waged war on them because he's like, in the military, all this shit. I mean, of course, he was probably a guy that was a conspiracy theorist, but again, a lot of people don't have the spiritual, mental, insight, and intellect like others. Like, I have that, so you don't see me doing crazy shit, but not everybody have that capacity. Some people it drives them crazy. I go about other ways of dealing with it, which I do now, like talking about it and just being, just having that good spirit and that very good intellectual mind to stay strong, stay focused. I got to raise family, and use it to my advantage on, again, each one teach one, which is why my daughter's, she'll have no baby, no baby father drama, no kids. She got her degrees from Morgan State University. She went to all prestigious black college. She did her thing. She went down and tried to do some good stuff down in Atlanta, in Georgia. It didn't work out. She moved back up here. She got a really good job up here. She's juggling 2 jobs. She lives in our house rent free. My 21-year-old, my Mike Jr., same thing. And on top of, he didn't go to Morgan State, but he doing this thing, got 2 cars, he works, he busts his butt, and when he's not working, doing his regular corporate job, my dude is standing there doing Uber Eats and shit. Like, my kid's about that. Isaiah, he's almost on the honor roll again. He's doing his thing in school. 13-year-old playboy, man. I raised me and my wife raised right. So moving back to this whole situation, so with the whole Chris Donor thing. And he basically wedged war on LAPD, and it's sad that cops got killed and shit. But sometimes when it's just crazy, man. And I'm saying that to say this whole thing with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing is, the system takes shit away, but then they get mad when others try to, like there's no reason why a civilian, let alone a civilian teenager, should be doing the work and the job of officials that are sworn in to protect and serve. They were at certain locations where I feel like, when there's riots and stuff like that, you incite more negativity than you do when you show a strong presence that you need. But I guess cops felt a certain way because of this whole George Floyd situation. I'm not gonna really weigh in about the fact that whatever he was convicted of and stuff like that, and the fact that he committed crime. I'm not gonna go into all that because at the end of the day, my whole philosophy is, and this may sound strange coming from me, but my whole philosophy is, if a person committed a crime, they pay their dues. Like they got caught, they took they took what came at them, they put their time in, they pay their dues to society. That simple. If the shoe fit, wear it, and that's it. And that's just the way I feel. That's the way I feel about that. Now, moving back to this kid, again, it's sad that, you get people like him that got to walk around with weapons and or walk around doing the job that fire departments and the police. Basically, the government failed everybody. The government failed everybody in that state. And I think the government, local law enforcement, I think everybody should be held responsible, even more so than Kyle himself, because I feel like that's child endangerment, because he's not of legal age, which is ironic. Like, for instance, the states and the city, they're so hypocritical. They decide when they think it's best for you to be a certain age. Like, they're gonna sit here and say, well, a 17-year-old boy should not be walking around with that kind of powerful weapon. But you got a lot of people who actually join the military. And some of them actually do go through boot camp. Some of them do go through boot camp while they're 17, because by the time boot camp finishes, they'll be 18. So that's an extra body in the bed. That's an extra this and that for the government. That's an extra this and that for that military personnel who or recruiter to get that check when you sign up for PT. I mean, I can go on and on, man. The whole thing is just crazy. So you mean to tell me it's okay for a child? Certain states is okay for certain kids to have certain weapons. So somebody come in their house, they can blow their head straight off and get away with it. Then certain other states don't allow it. Then certain states, there's always like little clauses and little hints of what you can and can't do. It's like a slippery slope, and you got to tippy-toe around this and that to get that and to be able to beat this. It's so much bullshit. But it's all right for cops to kill people unarmed, shoot them in the back, do this and that. And they know they weren't in the wrong, but then their favorite words when they go to trial or go up in front of a grand jury or something, I feared for my life. I gave them an order. They didn't follow it. Those are the key words. Same thing when it comes to them, to their PR, to their public relations departments, when it comes to these allegations and charges, their exact words all the time is, we're looking into it, we're investigating. And 9 out of 10, their investigations always come back that, we didn't find anything wrong with what they did. Even though there's excessive force and stuff, it's okay, they get away with it. But if you get caught stealing a fucking Snickers bar just to feed yourself, they can sit there and throw your ass, instead of putting you in the shelter and feeding you, they don't mind throwing you in a fucking jail cell and feeding you and providing you a roof over your head if you commit even a little idiotic crime like that, and they'll say, hey, well, we got you on camera. But when it comes to police and other law enforcement and powerful people doing that, there's always got to be an investigation. This goes to show on why this country breeds so much fucking domestic terrorists. And then they wonder, then people can't understand why there's so many foreign terrorists. See, the whole thing is that the country and the state don't want you to know that a lot of these people that hate America, it's not about them hating you as an American. They hate what America stands for, and they hate the government. They hate the people that run the country, not the people that live in it. So always keep that in mind. Sometimes there's casualties of war, like in anything. Hell, why you think the government don't mind sending your ass or sending your children, your 17 and 18-year-old kids, or your 17 about to be 18-year-old kids, overseas to get blown the fuck up, so that way their interest stays protected. But then you come back and you got post-traumatic stress disorder and this and that, or you come back with messed up limbs. You gotta have organizations like the Wounded Soldier Project and shit that gotta come up now, and they gotta do commercials and infomercials to try to get people to donate $19 a day and all this other bullshit, because the government is too fucked up to sit there and want to help people that they take advantage of. 1 minute you're an asset, the other minute you're a fucking liability. You're something just to throw in the trash. This is the kind of government we have. And this is why the government failed Cal Rittenhouse, whatever. I think it is Rittenhouse. You know, and I look at the kid as being a hero. Y'all might think I'm fucking crazy. I did see the other dude's arm on how it was messed up. That was disgusting. And it's sad that he lost a piece of his bicep. But he sitting here talking about he didn't chase after him, and the kid had a distance on him. You pulled your gun out from the back and you're running up behind him. So I don't understand how, you know, he's an active shooter. Everybody knows this kid's an active shooter, and y'all running and chasing him. One dude hits him in the back of the head with a fucking skateboard. Then somebody else. I mean, what is wrong with people? You know, you hit if somebody, you punch a person, whether they see they're coming or not, or you chasing somebody, or y'all get into it. Like right now, if I get into a fight with somebody at my garage sale, and me and this guy is duking it out in the street, and if I'm getting closer up on him and he's trying to back up and he lands in the street and get hit by a bus, I could be brought up on charges for that. Now, if I'm standing my ground and he decides to go to try to run across the street to grab at something or something like that, and he gets hit by a bus, that's his shit. That has nothing to do with me. But if I'm advancing toward him and he's paying more attention to me than the hazards there, I'm just as responsible as he is, if not even more so, because now he's concentrating on our attack. Even though I'm on my property, I'm supposed to stay on my property. I'm not supposed to try to chase this guy. I could tell him to leave, you know what I mean, but I can't go running after the person. And that's what these guys did here. Like, you already know this guy's an active shooter, or somebody claimed he was, or whatever the hell's going on, and y'all you're running behind a guy with an assault rifle, a weapon, period. A weapon that shoots out a projectile. And again, you know, to me, Milwaukee failed Kyle. It failed all their civilians, and it failed him. It failed the victims. Because if they didn't do what they did, these people wouldn't have had to be out there doing what they did. You had all these other people out there during curfew, run around looking for fucking problems. They have nothing to do. Their parents didn't tell a lot of these motherfuckers to stay home. So all these motherfuckers run around. See, this is what happens when you become such a sissified fucking society where you try to teach and tell people that it's wrong and you can't put your hands on your child or your children. You know, but it's okay if the system take your kids from you, or if your kids go into Spofford or a group home or a child detention center and shit like that. What do you think these counselors and these COs do to them? They be forcing and putting their hands on them. Some of these people be promoting sex and prostituting a lot of these young boys and girls, like the Covenant House. I mean, you got a lot of places that do shit like this. But then that's how fucked up the system is. A police officer can grab your child and put their hands on them and apply force, which 9 out of 10, they apply a lot of excessive force. But then if you do that to your child, they want to lock you up. Then y'all all think that you have a great government. Your government is a bully and it's a piece of shit. Then you wonder why there's so much terrorism. Why this country breeds it. If this country, if another country sends soldiers over here, that they call that an invasion. If more than 5 to 8 people die, they'll say that's an invasion, and they'll basically say it's a war crime, and it's almost creating genocide because multiple people got killed. You know what I'm saying? And or if another country decides to send soldiers over here, that's terrorism. Because, you know, you are invading a country. But I don't understand that when this country sends, you know, like you're trying to pass on your beliefs in a land that you stole, you conquered, you raped, you robbed, you killed, you manipulated, and you stole land from its indigenous people. Then you brought other people from a foreign land. You sold them as property here. And then you never gave them shit. But then what happened to the Jews happened in Europe. And Europe didn't take care of that. But this country decided to take care of what happened to them in Europe. But not what happened to Native Americans and black people in this country. And then you wonder why the Jews and everybody why they run everything. I mean, there's a lot of shit I can sit here and talk about that I just can't apprehend or fucking understand. I know some of y'all like, well, dude, you been sitting here talking off and on about Kyle, but you're talking about all this other stuff. Everything has relevance to what I feel is going on with this country. Give me 1 second. Let me answer this phone call. Yeah, I'm busy right now. What happened?
Alright, I'll just call you after.
Alright. Speaking of, that's my son. See, he's at work right now. If he just say I need to talk, you know, whatever. But I'll get back to him. So It's just crazy. And again, they failed everybody. I think the government and that state should be just as liable, if not even more so than Kyle, because again, he was a 17-year-old boy. Yes, he shouldn't have been out there. 2, there was a curfew, and 3, he shouldn't have had that weapon, even though it was legally his. It's not legally his because it was, you guys just read, you guys can come to your own judgment on the shoulda couldas, the he says she says. So. Again, a lot of these people are out there looking for fucking problems. You out there in the streets. A lot of y'all have masks on. Y'all run around creating shit. Y'all putting shit on fire. You're trying to fuck up people's property. And that's the first thing ignorant, dumbass minorities do. They want to go and fuck up stuff. Then they want to go in their own neighborhoods and do it. Like you can't light up you can't go and destroy people's property, whether your parents own it or whether, you live in your parents' house or you have a landlord or whatever. People are sick. Like y'all fight for the wrong reasons, and then y'all passive for the wrong reasons. Which means like the shit you should be fighting for, you don't. The shit you fucking idiots are out there dying for, you don't. But then the shit that it don't make no sense. One thing that made sense is worry about protecting your home and your property and not the streets. But at the same time, people run around the street. Let me tell you something. If you go out there and you know that there's a riot or that there's a protest or whatever, I don't go to protests because shit goes wrong. People do dumb shit. And then you always gotta be defensive and mindful of other idiots looking for problems. Because let's face it, a protest is about creating problems. There's nothing good come out of it because when they just tell you to disperse, they have the power and authority from the government to use whatever force they need to. When they implement those laws and implement, certain specific words and justifications on why they can go on and do what they need or want to do, which is ironic considering that they try to liberate other countries by sending soldiers over there and trying to bestow bullshit that they don't even protect here over there. But then they get mad because if somebody come over here and do something, it's a terroristic act. But when they send soldiers over to other countries, it's not. Like, y'all don't see the hypocrisy and the bullshit and behind that? Like, hello? And again, another scenario. You got this little girl who got kidnapped some years ago. Her name was Elizabeth Smart. There was nothing smart about this little bitch. But because she happened to be white, she was held captive for about, I think, 5 or 6 months. Not even that far. She was not maybe a couple of towns away from her house or some shit. They kidnapped this little bitch for about 6 months. Meanwhile, she happened to be 15 years old. Now, there was another child, happened to be, I'm going to say minority, because I don't know if she's dark-skinned Hispanic or light-skinned black or black, whatever. I can't remember her name, but this little girl was kidnapped, and the same day, and I think she was like 7, 8, or 9. Either way, she was definitely about somewhere between 4 to 6 or so years younger than this Elizabeth Smart chick. But because she was a minority, it didn't get that much publicity. Now, within hours, she was already home, sitting down, chilling, hugging her parents. Everybody was happy that she was alive. And she was actually home watching the whole story while these 2 individuals were locked up in jail while she was home because she did what she had to do, led the police there. They caught these people. She was safe, and she was home within hours later, maybe even a day or 2, watching herself and watching this whole story on the news for a little while. When this Elizabeth Smart thing was a whole big thing. But that just goes to show how the country and how the media placates certain shit. But, it wasn't known or notified. It wasn't known because one was a younger child, a minority child in an urban area versus a Caucasian kid missing from suburbia. And that made a bigger news story. And it wasn't about her age or whatever. It was about the fact that she happened to be a lighter skin tone. Let's face it, shit is what it is. Now, as far as this whole thing with this Kyle situation, like you got people running, chasing him, whatever. I don't really know what happened. Only the dead, the wounded, and like I said, there's 2 sides to the story. Then there's the truth. I don't know which is which, but I could definitely say he was out there. Whether he had an AR-15, it don't matter if he lied about being this or being that. At the end of the day, the boy was out there trying to help. He was out there doing what the fucking fire department, what city officials, and what sworn people that was supposed to protect and serve. Let's face it, a lot of police officers and a lot of police departments are sworn in to protect property interest of big global corporations, not people. Let's face it. You know, that's why they have a judicial system to where if me and you get into a fight, you try to rob me, and if I happen to get the best of you, I could be brought up on charges because a lot of states don't have self-defense law, and there's a thin line between what they consider self-defense. So basically, they're trying to tell you that a cop could do whatever they want to do to you. If somebody break in my house, and I beat them, and I beat the shit out of them, whether they suffer a broken jaw, broken arm, or whatever, a DA can sit there and say, "Oh, I use excessive force." And depending on after the police and everybody investigate, this is why I tell people don't talk to police. Don't say nothing. I need an attorney. I need to protect myself because everything can be held against you. And then they try to sit there and bring you up on charges because you decide not to incriminate yourself. When in law states that you have the right to remain silent because you are not, you're not capable and or you have that right to protect yourself because you cannot be brought up on charges by a DA. And they try to say shit like obstruction of justice, which is bullshit. Because at the end of the day, charges like that will be dropped because you have the right to remain silent because you don't have to incriminate yourself. A lot of people don't understand that. Nothing good can come out of talking to the police. Keep that in mind. Now, going back to why I feel the state of Milwaukee failed. They failed all the victims, and they failed Kyle. Because, this kid, yeah, he probably have a hero complex, whatever. At the end of the day, he was out there to help. Everybody else out there on the streets was all about creating anarchy. They were probably trying to loot, try to get others to, coerce each other to break into places so they could steal shit or whatever. Because let's face it, that's what people are out on the streets for. They're out on the streets to create mayhem and do dumb shit. And unfortunately, a lot of them are young, idiotic, weed-smoking fucking morons who don't know no better because the system teaches you can't put your hands on your kids. See, my kids, me and my wife put our foot through our kids' asses. That's why we have the kids we have and not having a lot of motherfuckers running around the streets doing dumb shit like they got no fucking sense. The reason why a lot of people like me in my age group and older, or even some younger, are where we are in life because we got our asses handed to us, and that's what's missing in America. And what's missing is good old fashioned ass whoopings, good old fashioned right or wrong, and you need to learn right or wrong. The system is contradictory, it's hypocritical, and it's bullshit. Because when it benefits them, it's all about them. When it benefits you, it's all about them. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, I'm saying this because it don't matter what the kid had on his hip, it don't matter what he said and what he claimed or whatever. The whole point of the matter is he was still out there trying to administer medical aid to people. He was out there trying to make a difference for good. It doesn't matter if he has hatred or whatever. The people that got killed happen to be Caucasian. So people say, "Oh, he's racist." Every time a white person do something, somebody get killed. Blacks and a lot of us are gonna need to stop this racism shit because we hate and kill more of each other and disrespect each other more than any other fucking race. And every race has got that shit in them. Mexicans do it toward each other. The Asians do it. Whites do it. Hispanics do it. Blacks do it. Everybody do it. Human is human. Your skin tone, where you hail from, your accent, what language you speak has nothing to fucking do with individualism. Everything starts at home and then it gets blemished throughout your years. Like I feel the way I do, but because I'm not gonna say I'm a contradictory person, but I'm a straightforward, not hypocritical guy, and that's the reason why my kids are where they are. Knock on wood, because I try to bestow and teach them the best of all worlds. You know what I'm saying, and let them come to their own assumptions on what things are. All I basically did was, all you can do is, you can sit there and put a plant in the soil. You got to nourish it. You got to make sure it's good dirt. You got to put it in a spot where it's going to grow, where the sun's going to shine, and you don't have to worry and deal with a lot of rodents and a lot of interference to make sure it grows perfect. But at the end of the day, as soon as you put it in, you are responsible for the spot you put it in. You're responsible for what soil. You're responsible for all the nutrients for the tree, location, and for the plant, location and everything. After that, the rest of it is on that plant. You understand? And that's what we should do as human beings and as people on this planet. And that's what I try to do, and that's why my children are where they are now, because of what me and my wife actually implanted and how we planted the seed. So moving on to this prosecution. I think the prosecutor's a fucking dingbat. I think he's a retard, and the judge seems okay, but he kind of reminds me of Joe Biden. Like, you know, a lot of his words is like out there. I mean, he's all over the place as well. I think the more intellectual people up there are the defense attorneys, and I'm not being biased. I'm just calling it for what it is because they seem to be the only people that really think rational. The judge, you know, he doesn't seem to know a lot when it comes to law on how this stuff works, and he got to keep referring to this and that. I mean, at your age, with you wearing that black robe for God knows how many years, it's pathetic. Especially the fact that he claimed that he sit on a couple of boards is even more scary and pathetic on just how fucked up Milwaukee is. I mean, if this whole thing that happened wasn't enough, now you can see why the system is the way it is, because their penal system is messed up, just as well as the justice system, because it's pathetic. Like, the feds can sit there and have drones there, but why they didn't put agents on the ground? You know what I'm saying? And it's sad that people lost their lives, and it's sad that he had to be the one to do it. But at the end of the day, it was sad that a 17-year-old kid, you know, thought that he was purposed, or he felt that he needed to do something to go out there and do what grown men and women should be out there doing, that they get paid to do. And again, that's why the system failed him and failed the victims. He's a 17-year-old kid who went out there to do good. He went out there to help. He went out there to do something. Things escalated. He probably got intimidated. And, you know, they looked at him and just thought he was just some geeky white kid and, oh, F him. And some people felt, oh, he shot somebody. Now, if you knew that this person shot somebody, why would you, I don't give a fuck, why would you be stupid enough to run after this guy? Then a lot of people wonder why a lot of blacks get killed by police. Then people wonder why you see a lot of videos of shoplifting young black females and shit getting beat up by people and getting beat up by police, because they're mentally fucked up in the head. They want to do what they want to do, and then they create all this anarchy, and then when you find somebody to stand up against you, now all of a sudden, you know, you want to play victim. And that's what a lot of people do. Now, these were victims that lost their lives and stuff, but at the end of the day, they caused that shit on themselves, man. You out there, you know, you out there doing the riots, everybody's looking for trouble. This kid is out there, and he's trying to put out fires. He doesn't matter if he has, there's no law against having a fucking hero complex. You out there trying to better, and I mean, this is a 17-year-old kid that's trying to go out there and do something. Maybe he was trying to sit there and big himself up and make himself feel better by doing something, but he was out there doing something positive when there was another fucking 90-something% individuals out there doing negative. Like, you had 7 to 8% people out there trying to do something positive, and you had the other 90 to 92% of them doing negative shit. But then y'all got him on trial because, yeah, people did get killed. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, he happens. I do agree about the law with the gun, and maybe that's the reason why children his age shouldn't have it. But then again, tell that to the fucking military. Because, again, you know, you got people that they'll sign up and, you know, they'll get letters from their parents. And then you got some people in the system that will sit there and still let them go through basic training, knowing that even a month to a couple of weeks before finishing, they'll be the legal age of 18. But then they can turn around and they can teach these 17-year-old kids how to use even more high-powered weapons than AR-15s. The military trained 18-year-old kids to be in multi-million-dollar machines. Like, you got 18 and 19-year-old fucking kids run around, you know what I'm saying, in Top Gun school. They running around, they're already, you're 19, 20 years old, and you're a fucking lieutenant in the Navy, in an aviation department. Like, what the fuck? Like, you got these kids, that must be the lizard. Oh, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you got these kids with multi-million-dollar equipment. Like, they're behind the wheel of they're in a cockpit of a jet, something that can easily destroy half a city before they get shot down from another jet. Like, you got some of these kids behind tanks that can go through buildings, go through a project, a New York City project building, and have half that building fall on top of it and still maneuver and get out. Like, you know, you got weapons that are way more advanced, more powerful. A lot of, you know, like assault rifles, semi-automatic weapons that make AR-15 look like a damn 22, you know, a 22 little gun. Like, are you kidding me? But at the same time, you try to say that they're not of legal age to drink until they're 21, but you can have a license at 16. you know, you're 15 years old, you try to get in a relationship with somebody, and that's child endangerment. But if a 15-year-old kid is playing with his friend and happen to, you know, make a mistake playing a horse playing and that person gets killed, you could try them as an adult. I mean, I don't understand that. I mean, I'm just saying what's good for the goose should be good for the gander, is all. I just think all this shit is hypocritically stupid. I think that he was trying to do something noble. Unfortunately, people lost their lives, but I think they brought it upon themselves from not only from what everybody's talking about, and I read people very well. I don't think the kid intentionally wanted to kill people. I mean, people can talk about his fake crocodile tears when he was on the stand, blah, 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 whatever. What the fuck ever. I'm a very good judge of character, and I personally just think that, of course, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he should have never been there. But then again, none of them should have never been there. If the fucking state of Milwaukee did their fucking job, and if the feds were out there doing more of their fucking job and not using fucking drones to look at shit, if the mayor and the governor and everybody did their fucking jobs, then people would still be alive. This kid wouldn't be on trial. And on top of that, all of them Neanderthals wouldn't have been out there creating havoc, running around burning shit and trying to start fires and do stupid shit because they just feel like they want to do something. You want to do something dumb? Go play a fucking video game and throw your video game into the wall. Like, you know, do something productive with your negativity. This kid was out there trying to do something positive out of something negative. And people did get hurt. He shouldn't have had the gun. He shouldn't have been out there. Like, nobody else shouldn't have been out there. And other people shouldn't have had guns. And other people shouldn't have tried to run and try to take his gun, knowing that you know that supposedly he was an active shooter that already shot somebody. Then one dude one dude hits him in the head with a fucking skateboard. The other guy tried to do some Jackie Chan kick. And then this dude has his weapon drawn. And then he figured he was going to try to best this dude. And he lost a piece of his bicep. It is what the fuck it is. First mistake, you know, don't go chasing somebody with a gun. And don't go trying to, you know, don't go trying to deal with a guy like that. Like, you know, they all brought it on themselves, man. I'm sorry. I am fucking sorry. They brought it on themselves. And I don't know what's going to happen in this case. I feel sorry for Kyle. Do I feel sorry for the other victims? I don't know enough about them, too. I don't feel sorry for the ex-EMT guy who lost half his bicep because he brought it upon himself. And whoever, and the other people that got shot, the one next to him got shot in the chest. These are all people that try to attack this kid. He was down on the ground. Y'all already know he's an active shooter. He already shot somebody. And now y'all all figure, hey, we could try to jump them together. Well, apparently your timing was off. And apparently this ain't a video game. So y'all had to learn the hard way. And they all brought it upon themselves. And again, I think after this is done, if this kid gets acquitted, which I hope he does, I hope him, his mom, and everybody sue the shit out of the state of Milwaukee. And him, his father, and everybody else should leave that fucking stupid, terrible state. Do I think everybody else should go out there and sue for wrongful death or whatever? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a free country. Do what you want to do. But at the end of the day, your family member did it to themselves. Because I don't give a fuck how good I can fight and what I've been through in my life as a core man and or whatever. Somebody got to... I don't give a fuck if I have a weapon on me. If I can't get to the weapon, and if I do pull a weapon out, it's going to be used. This kid pulled up his weapon, and he did what he thought he had to do. He was a 17-year-old kid who was in fear for his life, like so many other police officers who claim that people aren't hostile, and they shoot them in the back and shoot them and get away with it. But they decided to come after this kid. They wanted to make an example out of him, and the media is placating what their bosses want, what their networks want. They want them to drag this kid through the mud and use this as the latest bullshit so they can try more gun control so that way they can, you know, really start passing a lot of laws. I mean, look at the movie theater shootings during Batman, The Dark Knight, and this and that. There's always a hidden agenda behind what goes on. Some people are coerced into this. I mean, I personally believe in mind control. I figure if they can give you a shot that can make you tell the truth against your will, I believe they have shots out there that can make you do things against your will. Just like I feel if they have things that can tell you about the weather, I feel like they have machines out there and satellites that can alter the weather. I mean, there's always a for every action is a opposite and subtracted reaction. That is just that fucking simple. What goes up must come down. What comes down got to go up. At the end of the fucking day, whatever's dry needs wet. Whatever's wet needs moisture. Wherever there's cold, there's hot. Wherever there's a positive, there's a negative. Wherever there's a come, there's a go. Wherever there's a buy, there's a high. So at the end of the fucking day, everything needs everything to revolve around. Wherever there's a line, there's a circle. Wherever there's a circle, there's a box. Wherever there's a box, there's a square. Wherever there's a square, there's a triangle. Wherever there's a triangle, there's an octagon. I mean, I can go on for fucking days, y'all. Anyway, I know what I'm saying makes sense. It does. So, let me know your thoughts out there. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. My opinion is, I think it's a tragedy. And yes, he shouldn't have had an AR-15 on him, but so many other people out there did as well. And again, whether he's 17 or not, regardless of what that state law stated or whatever, he was wrong for that. And if anything, bring him up on lesser charges, make him do community service, or give him a year, 2 or 3 for the dumb shit he did so he could learn from it, move on with his life and stay, and hopefully that wouldn't discourage him. Disencourage him for doing something positive, because I thought he went out there to try to do stuff positive. He was just the actions behind it was fucked up because of what happened, but whatever. At the end of the day, it is what it is. These people did bring it on themselves. It's not like he just went crazy. He went ballistic in the school and just opened fire on everybody in the fucking crowd. These things were coerced and instigated into where it got to. He was a young kid who do dumb young kid shit. Unfortunately, it caused the lives of others. His actions of having a weapon did that, but their actions is what coerced. Coerced the whole thing into happening. And maybe they all learned something from that. Somebody got a fucking gun, shut the fuck up. Keep it moving. Don't think that you're that entitled or exempt from anything, because you're not. We're not as entitled or as special as we think we are. There's nobody out there worse off or better off or in better, whatever. Just keep all that in mind, y'all. Stay mindful, stay safe, keep doing what y'all do. Peace.